Okay, so this one we draw a little bit like we did with the ballpoint pen because colored pencils are pretty hard to erase. I'm using a little bit thicker paper, a cardstock. Whoops, not that one, this one. If you only have printer paper, that's fine, but the just the moisture from your hands might make it kind of warp. So I tend to get a little bit thicker paper. And we're going to start with the lighter of the browns, the milk chocolate. You got milk chocolate and dark chocolate browns, use the milk chocolate, the lighter one. And luckily for us, almost right smack dab in the middle of this paper are her hands. So we're going to get the worst part out of the way first and draw her hands. Let me zoom in a little. How big should they be? Maybe about the size of a dime.
This should be a pretty sharp pencil.
It's going to be a pretty sharp pencil, that's right. You're probably going to need to go sharpen your light brown. I'm going to zoom in close. Remember, I'm in pretty much the center of my paper here. And see if I can get it to focus. There we go. Almost. There we go. Okay. So we're going to start with just a tiny little J laying down on its back. This is going to be the part of her hands that's wrapping around the stem. And if anytime I'm going too fast or you didn't hear something, just tell me, I'll say it again. So we've got that tiny little J where she's wrapping it around. And instead of drawing her fingers, we're going to draw the fingers that are intersecting. So you can see, can I maybe zoom in? Maybe autofocus. See these little raindrop shapes that are her other fingers from her other hands coming in over this one? We're going to draw those first. All these little raindrop shapes. So on my drawing, let me focus again. Focus. There we go. So connected right to this little J, I'm going to make a little raindrop about the same size. Not too pointy on the end, that's the end of her finger. And then I'm going to do another one very close, but it's flat. Oh, Stephanie's joining us after all. Let's get her in here. And then we'll do another one very close, but it's pointed a little bit down.
Is that brown, Betsy?
Yes, it's a lighter brown, kind of a milk chocolate.
Brown Betty is what I was thinking, sorry. Is that in the middle of the paper?
Yep, smack dab in the middle of the paper. We're drawing her hands right now.
Oh, cool. All right.
So we just started with this little J kind of laying down and then put in some raindrop shapes for her fingers that are coming over from the other hand. Then it's super easy. All we have to do is put a little bump in between each of these raindrops and magically 3 of her fingers appear. The last one, the pinky, we'll have to draw. Something like that, just a little pinky hanging off the side here. The important part is that we want to try to start right out of that shape of an oval. I'm going to try to start right in the middle of that and curve the pinky down and then come back. I know this looks really weird. If anybody came by right now, they go, what are you drawing? But if you put the top of the thumb over here and come down just a little bit, there you'll have her whole hand. And if it helps you, you can just stick in 2 little vertical lines. There's the stem that she's going to hold. You can imagine it going through her hands. Don't draw, but you just hover your pencil, imagine it going through and then touch down. That's where it comes out on the other side. Same thing, I'm going to hover right over her fingers, keep going in the same line, and then touch down. So zoom out and see where we are. So we can draw most of the stem going all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. On this side anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a big long line. You can see I'm using a bunch of short strokes, but I'm just wiggling my fingers. You can also try using your wrist, whichever way is easier for you. There's going to be the stem on that side. And then above her hands, it only goes up maybe half an inch. Maybe about the same height as her hands. And then we've got this leaf over here. So I'm going to have this leaf overlap the stem because it's coming right at us. You can just make a wiggly little shape here. Doesn't really matter if it's exactly like mine. We just want something that kind of looks like a leaf.
How do I lock this? How do I lock the thing? Like, make it so it's so. Hold on. I'm trying to make it so it locks onto your screen.
I thought I locked it for everybody, but you can try pin video.
Pin. Yeah, I'm just trying to do that.
Usually I have to go to my small screen and then right click on that one.
Right click. It just says chat.
Yeah, that's because Betsy's got it all locked for us. Otherwise, it gives an option.
On yours, Mickey, when somebody else talks, it changes to theirs?
Yeah, sometimes I just want to make sure that it doesn't do that, so I was gonna pin it. It's like pin it so that way it doesn't change when someone else talks.
Okay. Well, I've got it on spotlight video, which means that everybody has it locked on my screen, but if it's not working for you, I'll take that off.
Okay, thank you.
Just let me know. So with whatever paper you have left at the top, you're going to fit your flower on, which is going to be, you know, if you want a big flower, leave a lot of space. If you want a little flower, leave a little bit of space. That's up to you. But we're going to end the stem by flaring out a little bit, getting a little wider at the top. Then we're going to grab our pinks. We should have kind of a dark pink, kind of a magenta, hot pink, and then a pastel kind of baby pink, and then kind of a dark plum purple. If you don't happen to have the purple, just use your brown that you've been using for the lines. So each of these petals are basically going to have these three colors. As soon as it gets focused, there we go. So you can see this lighter rim, that was my light baby pink. You can see the medium color, that was my hot pink. And then any shading in there, I was using just a little bit of purple. But the order that I colored these was the purple first, then the hot pink, then the light pink last. So we're going to start with our purple, and we're going to start with this V in the middle here. Upside down V, I should say, inverted V. Whoops, let me get back on camera. I'm just going to start.
No, I noticed that. Sorry, go ahead.
What were we going to say, Michaela?
I noticed I have a lot of trouble drawing these fairies, but I think the reason why is because they're based off of children, and I have trouble drawing children and child
This
proportions.
is one of the first times we've ever done children as a topic.
Children, yeah.
So then we're going to just make a triangle here that's going to be the shadow. So we're going to start just like we did in our practices sometimes, where we'd start dark and then we'd get lighter, 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 lighter. Dark in there, get lighter, 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 lighter. What are you drawing exactly? You're drawing this shadow of this petal right here. So it's going to be a little bit bigger than your shadow is. And these are petals, so it doesn't matter if they're huge. These are little fairies, so if it gets a little too big, don't worry about it. Then I'm going to take my hot pink. I'm going to color right on top of my purple. And I'm going to go a little farther out. And I'm going to design the edge of the petal shape. So you can see here I did kind of a bump, little like top of a heart sort of a thing. Yours doesn't have to be like that. You can make it more pointed if you want, but I just want you to color around. Try not to outline if you can stop yourself from that habit. It's fine to outline. It'll just leave a darker line around it, and sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you want everything to be soft. So go ahead and shape out that petal. Just color, 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 color. But you're not done. After you have chosen the shape of your petal, you take your lightest pink, hopefully it's sharper than mine, and we're going to color over the entire thing again, all the way from the purple. And we'll color, 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 color. Why do we keep coloring over things we've already colored? It's a little bit like watercolor. The colors will merge and kind of become buddies in a big old color party, and it'll just be a smoother transition from color to color. I'm going to leave a little of this pink hanging off the edge, this lighter pink. I don't know if you can see it on camera, kind of. You can see it there where there's the lighter pink and then there's the darker pink. In general, if your color isn't dark enough, don't just press harder. You can just come back and do a second layer on top with the same kind of medium pressure. Remember, this class is an hour and a half that we're going to be coloring. So if you put a lot of pressure, your hand is going to get tired really quickly. So whew, we got one petal. Next petal. Right underneath that one. So I'm going to start with my purple again. Get my shadow going right underneath that light pink. Let's color, 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 color. Same process. And I come back with my dark pink, color right on top of the purple, but then I go a little farther and I design the edge of my petal. This one can be smooth, maybe. Just rounded. But I'm not done. I got to take my light pink, go over the whole thing, just lightly, just quickly. You don't have to be too detail oriented on getting every single spot. Come out to the very edge, so there's a little bit of that light pink showing on the edge. And we're going to do it again. See this little dark spot in here? I'm going to start with my purple. Color, color, color. Get lighter as I go out. Same thing. Color it over with my medium pink. And my light pink. Would you like me to continue narrating, or you guys want to do it on your own for a minute?
No.
No? Okay, we'll keep narrating. That's fine.
Yeah, keep narrating. Because I'm not sure, like, where the big shape is that I'm aiming for. And
Okay. So we'll keep doing it step by step.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and actually we'll put in this really skinny petal right here, right on top of our stem. That one doesn't have quite as much shadow. Actually, it's just pink. I'm just going to take my main pink. I'll make a petal that's coming right at us, so it looks just like a sliver of an almond. Color that in. Take my light pink, go right over it, leave a little bit of an edge on the bottom if you can fit it. If you can't, no big deal. Nobody's going to look at this one petal and go like, you missed your highlight on your petal there. Nobody's going to do that.
You know my granddaughter?
Aha.
Then we'll put the petal under that one, so we'll get a little bit of purple here. Start out kind of medium pressure where it's dark, and then I'll get lighter, 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 lighter. We're going for this petal right here, a little oval here. Take my medium pink, color over it, go a little farther. And I'll take my light pink, color over it, go a little bit farther. Now let's say you're in a rush. You don't have to color over each previous color. You could just put down your purple, and then where it stops, you put your pink, and where that stops, you put your light pink. But I think it looks nicer when you go over the colors and blend them all in, if you have the time to do so. Then under that oval one, I'm going to start coloring in a shadow here. I'm going a little bit over my stem, but it's okay because my purple is darker than my brown. Put in a little shadow there. Take my hot pink, go over that shadow. And then this one is a little bit more like those curly brackets, if you're into typing. Has more of a point on the end. There's the shape of my petal. What's left? Light pink over the top. Extends a little farther so we have that little light pink rim. Catching some light. Then I've got this little upside down kind of heart one next. So I'll start with my purple. Start with that point. A little darker towards the center of the flower and lighter as you get to the end of the petal. And I bring my dark pink. And I'll choose the shape of that petal and a little heart. And this one is actually in the shade, so it doesn't have a light pink rim. Woohoo, you can skip that step. The next one, though, is in the light, so we're going to have to put that one, all three colors. So I'm going to start with my shadow again. And this one's kind of fun because as you're coloring in this shadow, you're also deciding the shape of the petal above it. So as I fill this in and I make my shadow, it's going to decide what the petal above it is going to be shaped like. So I'm going to put a little bump there, maybe a bigger bump there, and extend my shadow out. Try to get a little darker on the right edge there where it's underneath that petal, and it'll get lighter as it goes out. Grab that medium pink, color right over the top. You're going to color right up next to that heart that you did just a moment ago. So all of these petals are touching, and then you'll shape that petal with a couple of bumps or a point. Once you've decided on your shape, you come back with your light pink, color over the whole thing and a little farther for that little edge on the end of the petal.
You know, looking at this fairy, it kind of reminds me of that one Dawn Blue Thumbelina movie.
Oh yeah, I used to watch Thumbelina all the time.
Yeah. I think I remember when it's like in that scene where she's at like that beetle takes her to like a club or whatever to perform, and she's wearing that really neat like beetle inspired dress. Yeah, I just think that's so cool. Like design wise, for like a Bumpy inspired dress. Yeah.
Cool. If you're still working on your bottom row of petals, that's okay, but I'm going to jump up into the center of the flower now. So I'm going to need my yellow, my light brown that I was using for the lines, and your medium pink. Those are my three colors now. I'm going to take my yellow. Unfortunately, it's very short, and I'm not sure I can sharpen it much more. I'm going to color the entire shape of the center part of this flower. I'm just going to color in little ovals, make it thicker in the middle, and then skinnier at the edges. It'll be about the size of that petal that we drew coming at us. Something like that. And you're going to grab.
Betsy, record this. Make sure it's recorded.
Sure, yeah, it's recording.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
So then we're going to take our pink, our medium pink that we did for our petals, and we'll color in little shadows, pretending that they're a bunch of ovals. Let me zoom in a little closer here. So it's basically all this pink in here, all this pink in here. Just scritchy scratchy all along the bottom. Then we'll take our brown that we used for the lines, and we'll add some darker shadows, and you can see there's just like little bits sticking out here and there. So I'm going to get my brown in here. I'm just coloring the left side every once in a while. I'm just pretending that I'm adding shading to a bunch of little bits in here. They're gonna get smaller as they get to the top. My first one was a bit messier because I didn't really know what I was doing. But then I kind of figured, oh, flowers have a pretty good pattern to them where they're thicker at the bottom there and they get tinier at the top. And then with your pink pencil, we're going to go ahead and do these petals at the back, in back of this yellow part. So over here I've got pink. Why are we not starting with purple? Because the purple's actually behind the yellow. We can't see it. We can't see that shadow, so we're going to just start with our medium pink. Make a little petal there. And then grab your light pink pencil, color over it a little bit beyond so it has a little edge of light pink. And we're going to do that for this petal also. Remember to keep them kind of flat and squashed since they're in perspective 3D. Keep going around this flower center here. If you're coloring and they look like they're all just kind of smushing together and you wish you could see more definition, then sure, take out your purple and do just a very faint shadow where one is maybe overlapping the other. Just lightly, no big deal. And look, we're almost done. We just got a few little empty spots in between the top petals and the bottom petals. So you can take your medium pink, fill those in. You can see I'm leaving a little rim of white so that my light pink has somewhere to go. I also need a little bit of purple in here. I'm losing my shape. There's a little shadow. Oh, don't throw your pencils. Another little shadow over here. Medium pink. Decide what shape that petal is. And color over with your light pink. A little bit of a rim sticking out.
Hey Betsy, since you know a little bit about dinosaurs, can I ask you a random question?
Sure.
You know how pterodactyls slept?
How they slept?
Yeah, I was looking at their toes, and it's like they're kind of like bats. So I wondered, did they sleep upside down? Did they sleep like the usual way? I'm just curious.
I would imagine they would sleep closer to the way they as birds do rather than bats, just because they were so much bigger.
Good point.
And so much heavier. I don't think they would sleep upside down like bats, but who knows? Maybe they did. Maybe trees were much more substantial back in dinosaur times.
Oh yeah, bugs were.
Yeah, it seems like kind of everything was bigger back then. So if the trees were bigger, I'd say, yeah, maybe they would. Because then they'd have something to support their weight. But if not, I'd say they'd be closer to birds and probably like a nest.
Yeah, that's a way better point.
Even after you're done with your petals, you can take a breath, sit back and go, does something look weird? Does it look like I need one more petal over here maybe? Does it look uneven? Then you can just add petals here and there. Flowers are great because there's so many different shapes. Oops, wrong pencil. And petals overlapping one another, so you can just stick them here and there and everywhere until you get the shape that you want. If the petal's too smooth, you come back and you add a little point on the end. Oops, again, wrong pencil. Make sure you have the right color. Let's say you have some petals at the back, but it doesn't look like they're at the back. It looks like they're at the front because they're the same color. Take your purple and just lightly color over the whole petal. And you'll see this one get pushed to the back because it's getting more shadow. This one too is going to get more shadow. Just lightly. You can always add more, but you can't really erase. So I just add a little at a time. Kind of like salt or sugar. Can't really take it off your food once you put it on. And there's our beautiful zinnia.
I like how I was trying to like do like a bit of a chubby arm like this character has, but then I accidentally made her look like she was just really buff.
Oh.
Man, it's really subtle. Maybe I shouldn't try to do like exactly the art style of this person.
Yeah, go for your own style.
Yeah.
Use the parts of the style that you feel comfortable with. Find your style.
So if you're still working on your petals, that's fine. I'm just going to show you what I did for the stem because the stem is super easy and not all that difficult to do. You're going to get, whoa, your darker brown, your dark chocolate color, and your dark green and your light green. And it's very similar to what we just did. So for this leaf, I'm going to start with my shading color and just color lightly, a little bit on this leaf with my dark brown. Same thing, go to your medium color, color right on top of it. I'm going to color this whole leaf except for the edges. I'm going to leave those white so that I can come back with my lightest green, color right over the top of everything, and have that lighter green show through right on the edges of my leaf. The stem is pretty much all in shadow, so you're going to color the whole thing with a layer of brown and a whole thing with a layer of the medium green. Not even going to use the light green. Doesn't have to be crazy hard pressure, just kind of lightly. And then again, lightly with your green, just glazing right over the top. Just one more minute on your flower, and then we're going to move back to our fairy. If you don't finish, that's okay. You know it's all repetition. Shading color first, medium color second, light color on the edge.
I've got to say, I do love this little picture that it like the pinks and the greens look very nice.
Mm-hmm. They look really nice together. Ten more seconds. I'm going to switch back to my lighter brown. If it needs to be sharpened, sharpen it. Since we're doing kind of like lines, we want them to be fairly thin. And then we're going to... What's
Sorry,
that?
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, have you listened to the Magnus Archives?
I have not. What is that about?
It's a horror podcast. That's
Oh
really
no, I'm
interesting.
not listening to horror.
It's really cool because it's like it's basically this guy, like there's this place called the Magnus Institute, and it's like it documents and does stuff about supernatural
Okay.
occurrences.
Oh.
And then this main star is this guy who's like the main archivist, and he's going through all of the archives, like their past cases, and he's turning them into audio and reading them. And then it's like some of them are from like 200 years ago, and some of them are from like just like in 2016, which is when I assume that's when the podcast was originally made.
Oh.
And then
If it wasn't horror, I'd listen to it, but since it's supernatural, not my thing.
oh yeah, it's scary. It can get like disturbing. Well, not disturbing, just like scary. Yeah, definitely.
Mm. Some
My
important overlap. Oops, sorry. Some important overlap right there is the wrist going into the hand. So just a little bit of a flick, a little bit of a flick. And then we're going to continue downward to her elbow. And we'll get a little bit wider at her elbow. Not by much. She doesn't go to the gym, I don't think. And if this is her elbow down here, we'll have a little bit of a crease. Just a little bit of an overlap. Curvy. Right down like that. And however long that part is, that's about the same length as the upper arm. So if you can visualize it, great. If you need to measure, you can get your ruler or just use your pencil to measure. We're going to put her upper arm on here. But we're not going to do the top of the shoulder since the sleeve covers the top of her shoulder there. So I'll just do a little bump right there. And we'll leave that part open. Once you've got that part of the arm, we're going to put her little scallop sleeve up here. So that means lots of little letter U's. I'll go behind the arm like this. 1, 2, 3. And then in the front, we'll also have some more. 1, 2, and maybe a skinny little third one. And we'll just draw a small line on top of that sleeve there, the top of her shoulder. Then we'll draw her neck. If you're not sure where to put this line, you can always draw the collar of her shirt first, and then put her neck in there. I think my flower might go over her head a little bit, or if you do dark hair, you'll be able to color right over the flower. The paper is too short. I made my flower too close. Then we're going to go ahead and just draw the rest of her body over here. So I can take this down here. And underneath her arm, and her little shirt is also curved on the bottom. And lots of little curves here and there. Her back is going to come right off of the middle of her upper arm and flare out. Little curve, little curve. Then we'll add her chin right at the top of her neck here. And you can make it rounded since she's a little kid. Little kids are very round. And we'll come up for the cheek. Oh, I think she's gonna be hiding behind my flower. That's all right. Then we'll place the mouth really close to the chin. So way down here, a little smile. It's gonna be longer on one side and shorter on the other side, just like when we have our line of symmetry. We can't draw it on this one because we can't erase, but we remember we have one long side, one short side. And right above the mouth is a nose. It's going to be a short little nose because it's a little kid. And that nose connects right to an eyebrow. I'll put a little dot for the nostril. Boop. And for her eye, we'll have one little curve. You might need to sharpen your pencil for this. We're getting into tiny little details. One little curve. And then you don't have to draw the outline. You can just color in her eye whatever you want to. Let's say you were going to give her green eyes. You could just come in here and color it green and not make the outline if it's too hard. And we're going to go, just imagine you're going up from that nostril to the start of the other eyebrow. That's going to be right across from that eyebrow. I'm going to make that eyebrow over on this side. Not too wide. She's still turning, so we can't make it too wide. And underneath that eyebrow, right across from that eye, we're going to have the other eye. Just a little curve on top. Flatter curve on the bottom, about the same size. If I'm going too fast, let me know. I'll pause. And then we'll put in the other curve for the other eye. You can color it in right now if you want to. If you know, like, I'm going to make mine have pink eyes or green eyes or blue eyes or brown eyes. Go for it. If
Hey,
what's that?
do any of you guys have a favorite butterfly?
Do we have a what butterfly?
Favorite?
Oh, a favorite butterfly. Well, I saw a tiger swallowtail in the garden the other day. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, I would say my favorite is always the one I'm looking at the time.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
If you want the eyelashes a little darker, you can get your darker brown, your dark chocolate brown. You can color in her eyelashes a little bit of a darker color. Make sure it's sharp. Nice sharp pencil. And then she's wearing a crown of little yellow flowers. If you want to turn this into just green or something else, that's fine. You don't have to use yellow. I'm going to go diagonally, make a little line there to get a sense of how big her head is. Put a little flower shape on the end. And then it's time for hair. You can do any kind of hairstyle you want. You don't have to follow me. Actually, I don't think I'll do this one again. I think I'll just do something else. Maybe some kind of braid or ponytail. But whatever kind of hair you're doing, you're going to flick from where it starts and flick from where it ends. And then in the middle is going to be left white and shiny.
So what color are you using there? Is that?
I'm using the dark brown. But if you want to give her blue hair, pink hair, green hair, doesn't matter, just your darkest color. And you start flicking from where the hair starts, flick from where it ends, and leave the middle white. If that's too difficult and you want to get the outline first, you can go ahead and outline it. Let's say that's my shape first, my big shape, and then I'll flick from the top, flick up from the bottom, and I'll leave the shines in the middle. You can have some hair go in front if you want. Same thing on the top of her head. I'm going to flick up from her little crown. And then from the top of her head, I'll flick down. And we'll leave a little shine in the center. You can also have some hair on the other side coming down and around if you want. That one isn't going to have as much shine because it's not in the light, it's more in the shadow. So you can just color that one in. Remember, if you go past her arm, her wings go there. So that means her hair must go in front of her wings or else you're gonna have a problem there. I'm gonna start right here. Not a problem that can't be solved, but something that needs to be addressed. So now you've got these white gaps. We're not going to leave them white. You're going to pick a lighter color, and really you can pick any color you want. You can make it purple, you can make it blue, you can make it green, you can make it whatever you want. In this one I used pink. You can kind of see the pink showing through the brown. This time I'll try purple.
We'll be right back.
Okay. I'm just going to lightly color my purple over the whole hair. The idea being that you can still see the darker color, and this lighter color will only show up on those white caps. If not, if it's blending up too much, you just go back to your dark brown and you come back and you color over it again and color in those tips, flicking up, flick down from the top, and just make those a little darker until it stands out more. Next, we're going to plot out the wings. I'm going to go back to my light brown, my milk chocolate brown, the one that I was using for the lines. Actually, let's plot out her skirt first since it goes over the wings a little bit, and then we'll go back and do the wings. So the skirt is going to be about as tall as her shirt without the sleeve. So from the bottom of your sleeve to the bottom of the shirt, if we double that, that's about how long this top layer of her skirt is. Or you can just eyeball it, that's fine too. So I'm going to do the big shape and just kind of make this edge wiggly, trying not to do the same bump twice, trying to make them look all different. You can have some big ones, little ones, and it actually goes behind the flower, so be careful, you need your stem. Come down a little bit for this back one. And then it also goes in front of the stem a little bit. And then for the second layer, you can see they're done kind of in pieces. So I've got one piece over here, very short, just another layer of her skirt. You don't have to copy my pieces exactly. We're just making it look like these are petals. They're layered on top of one another. So sometimes you'll have one stop in midair and then another one's going to come over the top of it. And remember, as we get to the edges, they get skinnier. You might see a little bit poking out the other side of the stem. So now that we have her skirt, we can do her wings. So right out of her sleeve, right out the top of her back here, we're going to start with the top wing, big gentle curve. And that's just this top portion, this kind of triangular portion. Then I'm going to do the top of this lower wing, which is like a big rounded raindrop. Just lightly, lightly. Then I can come back to the top wing and finish off this shape, kind of triangular. Super duper lightly. Then she has the other wing in the back, skinny. I'm just going to add a little point over here, bring it back. If you feel like her wings are too short but you ran out of paper, just take her wings all the way off the paper. It's better to do that than to just try to smush them in. So for the wings, we're going to start out with our dark brown. And I'm going to make these little dots that are on the edge of the wing here. I'm just going to put a dot every ½ inch or so. Just along the bottom here. And I want to make them fairly wide. As you'll see, we're going to use these edges in a moment here. I'm going to take my light brown, and as you can see over here from the inside or the edge of that one, I went up into the skinny triangle shape, and then I came down to the edge of the next one. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to come up from that edge, come up from that edge, and we'll make some wiggly, skinny little triangle and color it in. Then we'll do it again from this one and this one. And I'm going to leave this little white line in between the shapes, but I'm going to make this triangle bigger. We'll go farther. It can be as wiggly as you want. Wiggly is better. Color that in just lightly. And as you may have guessed, we're going to do it again. We're going to try to make each of these triangles a little different so they can either get taller or wider, shorter, sharper, something so they're all different. But this top one over here is special because we have this other color pattern in here. So I'm going to jump up there with my dark brown. And I'm going to make this little C at the top here. I'm just going to color in little ovals. Starting out wide, getting thinner, 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 thinner. Start with that. Then we'll extend this edge right on over to the end and extend this edge right on over the end over here. Now I'll color in this next section, except I'm going to color right on over and touch that dark part. You can still make this bottom edge wiggly. I'm just going to fill that in. I've got 2 spots left. You might not, but if you do, I'm going to make one really short triangle just to make it different. Then we have this kind of weird shape in the middle that's left. 2 things you can do. You can make just kind of a big weird shape like I did right there. That one's not quite a triangle. That's okay. Or you can bring one down and end in a point that way so that you get a V. That's up to you. No wrong answers. Just do whatever looks neat. I might bring one down here. Then bring this one up and fit right inside there. Put another triangle over here coming from her back. So I can split up this big section. You just keep coloring and coloring, leaving those little white lines in between until it's all filled up. And if you think it looks too boring with just the one color, you can grab another color. Doesn't really matter which one. Maybe purple. And you can just lightly go over some of these colors. Not all of them, because then they'll just all end up looking the same again. So if you
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. You take another
Sorry,
color.
blood-
Oh, your blood was telling you to eat something?
Yeah.
And you can have a little bit of color variation in there.
What type of flower are these?
Zinnias.
Oh. Oh, it says on my picture.
Z is for zinnia. And then if you want to, you can do that little scalloped edge in between each of these dots as a little curve. If you don't like the look of it, don't do it. If you like it, go ahead and do it. Of course, you'll have a little bit of brown sticking out like on mine. Can't be helped. Or else you can blend that into the background later. Then I'm going to grab my hot pink. And I'm going to color in this general area here. It doesn't matter where the darker spots are. We're going to color those second. But I do need this to be kind of a wedge shape with a little part that sticks out. Something like that. Kind of like a mad goose pointing to the left. If there was an eye right here. Or seagull. That's the shape we want. And I'll color that in. Right right to the top of that bottom wing. Then we'll come back with our dark brown, and we're going to do a little spot right on the bottom here. Doesn't have to be precise in any kind of shape. We're just kind of making a blob right there. Kind of another blob right here. And a little blob right there. 3 blobs. Big, medium, small. The only thing I'm trying to avoid making a perfect geometric shape. Like, we don't really want a circle. We don't want a perfect oval. Basically, you can start with an oval and then give it a little piece that sticks out so it doesn't look so much like an oval. Or you can make a rectangle and then give it a little piece that sticks out. Then we're going to work on this piece up here, which has kind of like a shark fin, and then a little loop, and then goes out to the edge. So starting from on top of my pink, I'm going to sketch a little shark fin, swimming through the water, do a little curve, and then go right to the edge. And I get to color everything below this with my dark brown. I'm not going to color over my pink. I'm going to just stay to the parts that are not colored yet. Fill in the white, leave the pink alone. In the next shape, you can see the shark fin is in white this time, and it goes right over that little loop that we did. So if I sketch out another shark fin, a little bit bigger, like that. Notice those white lines that go through, so I'm not going to touch that bottom part. And try not to touch. And we'll just color in around that shark fin, keeping it skinny, ending in a rectangle-y shape over here. And then there's this border that's just sort of jaggedy on the pink. So I'll come with my dark brown and just kind of scribble back and forth. Make some parts thick, some parts thin. Then we swap to our light brown so we can do these last couple of shapes up here. Doesn't really have to be any particular shape. You're kind of just filling in whatever's left and leaving a little bit of white right in there. So you can just color in a few shapes, make sure they don't touch, so there's a little bit of white in between them. Something like that. As you can see, I didn't copy my first one exactly. It's okay. Butterflies have different pattern wings. The back wing, super easy. We're going to do our dark brown, leave a little stripe, dark brown, leave a little stripe, dark brown, and then some pink. We'll start at the tip here. Dark brown. pressing a little bit harder since it's on the other side in shadow, be a little bit darker. And I'll leave a skinny little white stripe in between. The next white stripe, a little bit thicker. And then I'll color until I almost get to her hair. And then I will switch to my pink. And we're going to draw her legs. Oops, wrong way. Zoom in here. So her legs are about as long as maybe a shirt, shoulder to elbow, around that size, a little bit longer than that size. Or you can eyeball it. So we're going to start with half of her knee right under her skirt. So I've got my light brown again, and you can see it's right under her elbow. If you go straight down from her elbow, you're going to come to the front of the knee on the leg that's close to us. So I go right down from her elbow, hovering my pencil, hover, 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 touch, landing. I'm just going to draw half of a knee, just a little curve. Then for the front of the leg, it's pretty straight, maybe curves a little bit. How big is that? Maybe about the same size as her lower arm. A little longer maybe, just to give you an idea. Then we're going to come forward. Those of you who remember the 3 parts of the foot, remember there's shoelace part. That's that part coming out, that wedge. And then we're just going to end it in one little big toe, just like that for now. Then we'll put in the back line of her leg. How thick should her knee be? About the same thickness as her neck. So if you go back up and you go, oh, okay, her neck's about that thick, that's about how thick her knee should be. And we're going to do that same curve, curving to the back. Just a tiny little line. Then you could try to go from the top all the way to the bottom, but that's risky. So what I would do is come to that part right before we started slanting, because that's the ankle. I'll go over here and say that's how thick I want my ankle, little dot. Or you can even put a little straight line and go, okay, there's my ankle. The back of the ankle anyway, the Achilles. Now I know that there's a bump near the top. And then it's going to curve the other way and go there, just subtle. She doesn't go to the gym. Just soft, soft, soft. Then we need her heel, and her heel is going to come out just a little bit away from there. And this should be very familiar. We go around the heel just a little bit. And then we're going to go pretty much straight across until we get to the little toe, and the little toe is going to be way back here. You will probably have to sharpen your pencil because you're getting into little tiny details. Tiny, tiny little baby toe. I'm going to try and stick in some other toes here. We'll just make one more little bump. And then we'll make another little bump. It's going to be skinnier, skinnier. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. I need one more. Skinny, skinny, skinny. If you can only fit 4 toes, it's fine. People aren't going to count her toes. She's a fairy. Maybe she only has 4 toes. Then lucky for us, the other leg is tucked right behind. So all we have to do is basically copy this again. So I'm just going to copy my little knee bump. Copy that line, come all the way down. Copy that line all the way down. This time I'm going to stop before I get to her big toe and have her big toe over here. So there's a little bit of a gap in between her toe and her foot. And then I'll have this line continue to the second toe. And that's it. We're not going to draw any of the other toes. I'll zoom in a little closer just in case you need some help with that one. Oh, oh, focus, focus. There we go. So this is the big toe here. And then I've got my foot line coming down and into that second toe. If you want to put a little ankle bone, you can do that over on this one. Just lightly. You want to put a little bit on her knee, little kneecap, just lightly. Oh, we're almost done with the line art. We just need some leaves for her to stand on. If I can zoom in again. These are nice big leaves, and you can see they're directly opposite of one another, kind of like those propellers we were doing earlier. So I'm going to have this leaf go from her feet. I can overlap the stem, almost touch it, that's fine. Coming down, up to the tip. And then look how far up it goes behind her, almost into her calves. It goes up pretty high. If you want to have your leaf curl over a little bit, you just add one more little shape on the end. That'll be the leaf curling over. Then I can have my stem. Remember, it's way up here. I'm going to just hover my pencil over her skirt. Don't draw, and then touch down. Draw that other side of the stem. Then we have the leaf going the other way. Look how it's kind of diagonal. Try not to make it flat, because that would be flat. This one's going a little more diagonal. So we're going to have this leaf go up, up. So even higher than that one. And the shape doesn't matter so much since leaves can grow in all kinds of ways. But I am going to mark that center part of the leaf where there's always that line that goes down. Ooh, we just have about 15 minutes. Which part do you think is the hardest to color? And we'll do that together. Shirt, skirt, or sleeves?
Shirt or skirt for sure.
Shirt or skirt? Okay, we'll go in and do her clothes here. Let's do her skirt. I think that's probably the hardest. Come in here, although it's going to be very similar. Can you see? Purple, pink, light pink? That's what we're going to do. The hard part comes in what shape is the dark purple supposed to be. So you've got this bumpy line on the bottom, and you can kind of see how when a bump ends, that's kind of where I put my long purple line. So on my skirt over here, here's a bump, here's where that bump ends. So the shadow is probably going to be in the line right there. Doesn't have to be on every bump, you can just come along, pick a bump where that bump ends, and go back up. And this is just dividing up the petals. You don't have to go all the way down either. You can just have one come out from the skirt on the top and then just stop. So since her shirt is over her skirt, this whole hem of her shirt is going to have a shadow underneath. We're going to color all of this in with a little bit of purple. has a cast shadow. Shirt is casting a shadow on that one. And then because these petals are rounded and soft, anywhere there's a little point, I'm going to try to round that off and soften it into a curvy shape. Curvy shape. Curve this too. Curving it all the way around. If you have a spot that looks like, oh, there's too much white space there, I feel like I need a little something, you can go ahead and put just a little bit of a shadow right in the middle. That's fine too. And we're going to grab that medium pink. Probably have to sharpen it by now. Same thing, I'm going to color over my shadow, but I'm going to leave a little rim at the bottom for my light pink.
So this is about like the flower.
Yeah. We're going to make it look like she made her skirt out of the same flower petals. Or if you want to use a different color, that's fine too. You just need a dark shade, a light shade, and a lighter shade. These petals back here, they're not going to have a light pink, so I'm just going to go ahead and color them in with the dark pink, or darker pink. Same thing over here, way over on the edge, we're not going to have that light pink, so I'll just color that one in. And you don't have to follow the edge exactly. You can see how mine's really bumpy on here where my dark pink is ending. Doesn't have to be totally smooth. And the last step, as you have guessed, you take your light pink, go over the whole thing, coloring right to the edge. So here might be a question that enters your mind. Over here where there's no space for a light pink, do I still have to color it with light pink over it? If you're running out of time, no. If you want everything to look the same, yes. You color over it even if there's no light pink showing, just so that it has the same look as the rest.
So as we do these many layers, it's starting to look like all the things that Connie brings in when she was doing all her.
Oh,
I didn't
that's right,
understand how she got it to look so clean and no lines, layering.
So we had this cast shadow that happened right underneath the shirt. We're going to have the exact same thing on this second layer of petals. These are casting a shadow on the second layer of petals. So I'll have a cast shadow go all the way around, close to that edge. And if you want to, you can put out a couple of spikes, round those off. Make that a nice round edge there. Maybe one over here. Maybe one over here. Separate off that petal. On the second layer, I'm not going to leave too much room for light pink. You might leave a little bit on the edge there, or maybe a little bit on the edge there. But really, this part is underneath this part, so it wouldn't catch as much light. So I'm just going to take my medium pink and fill in pretty much everything. Actually, yeah, I'm going to fill in everything. With that medium pink. If you're running out of time, you stop there, but if you want it all to look the same, you still have to take your light pink and color over the whole thing. Just fills in a little bit more of those white gaps. We'll do the same thing for the shirt, except I'm going to use purple, dark green, and light green. Same process, I'll take my purple and go, oh, her arm is casting a shadow on her shirt. And then the arm gets farther away, so the shadow is going to get lighter, 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 lighter. And you can throw in a couple of shadows here and there. I feel like this part of her outfit is supposed to be made out of leaves, so it might have a lot more bumps and dips. The other thing in shadow is the under part of her sleeve, so I'll color this in purple. And then this top part of her sleeve is casting a shadow onto her skin, so you can even color a cast shadow right along the top of her arm there. Another cast shadow would be under the chin, just lightly. Still using purple. You can use the brown too if you want the same brown as the lines. And then I'm going to add some texture to her shirt by just drawing some broken up vertical lines. Kind of scatter them here and there. And again, if you want to make her shirt blue or orange or more pink, that's up to you. You just need a medium shade and a lighter shade. I'm going to start with my medium green here and start coloring in her sleeve. Coloring in, and then I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. I'm going to leave a little bit of white on that right edge. Coloring in, then I stop. I'll grab my lighter green, go right over the top of that dark green, over the whole thing, over the purples. And color all the way to the edge. Just about 5 minutes left. Let's go ahead and put in some of the warm spots on her skin. It doesn't matter if her skin's going to be brown or peach or blue or whatever other color you want to make it. There's some spots that are going to be a slightly different color, and they're going to be slightly warmer, meaning we have to add a little bit of pink or a little bit of red to those spots. So I'm going to use the pink that we've been using for the petals, since they're in the wings, the skirt, the flower. Kind of makes sense that they'd be on her skin too. So the spots we're going to color in, a little bit on the cheeks, rosy, healthy cheeks. It's going to look like she's blushing at first. A little bit on the elbow. Just a little bit. A little bit at the ends of her fingertips. On her knees. And toes. So you may have seen a pattern there that we're doing digits at the very end of our limbs and the major joints, knees and elbows. If you want to give a little color to her lips too, you can do that. Then you color over it with the color of your choice. Maybe this time we'll do peach. Well, maybe we should draw her other arm, huh? It looks a little funny with her fingers not connecting to another arm.
That's true. They're just hanging out there.
Easy fix. All we're going to do is add one more line from there to there. You can maybe add another thumb if you want to. Ta-da! Fix. It's now 5:26. Just a few minutes.
Green.
What's that?
Green.
Green, yeah. I'm doing just a layer of my dark brown and then a layer of my green. On the leaves, just like the earlier leaf, by the center and kind of on the edge near the stem, we'll have a layer of the dark brown. Or purple, use either one. Since I use dark brown for the stem, I'm going to stick with it and just use it on the leaf too. We'll do that to both leaves, coloring just around this edge here. Down the center, maybe where her feet are, maybe a little more shadow. Just lightly, no big deal. Maybe at this under part too, where the leaf is turning. Take my medium green, color in everything except A little bit on the edge. Color right over those shadows. If you color over them, you can't see your shadows very well. You just come back with your dark brown, add another layer on top. If it still doesn't stand out, don't just keep grinding and grinding into it. Get a different color. Add some purple. And by adding that purple on top of the brown, it'll make it a deeper color.
That Mickey's dog.
Yep, sounds like it. Not my dog. My dog's not in here today.
I don't have a dog. Must be Mickey.
Oh yeah, that's my dog. She wants me to pick her up and put her on the bed with me.
Of course she does. She's a dog.
Yeah, she's perfectly capable of doing it, but she wants me to pick her up.
And you probably will because you're the mom.
Yep.
And then lastly, my light green, right over the top of everything.
Baby. Baby.
6:30, oh no, it's the end of our class. Almost made it.
Yeah, hey, this takes a long time to do these guys.
Yeah. That was pretty fun. We got a pretty good drawing at the end.
Yeah.
Don't forget to sign your work. Today is July 8th. July 8th, 2020. Kind of like
Okay.
it hiding behind the flower now. Happy accident. All right, let's do some show and tell. I'm going to spotlight Kristen's video. Let's see. Oh, in your sketchbook. Ooh, look how pretty she came out. Nice.
I decided that they're good enough. I can go ahead and put them in the sketchbook.
Oh, yeah, very nice. The proportions are really good.
Yeah, she came out. Her face is a little weird, but I need to sharpen my pencils.
Yeah, that's the thing. Gotta sharpen your pencils
Sharpen my pencils.
frequently.
Whatever we got.
Michaela, what do we got?
Barely anything because I got frustrated at this, and also like my low blood sugar didn't help my output at
okay.
all.
Well, if you don't want to
How
share,
about
that's fine.
Callista? What she
How about
got?
Callista? Let's put Callista's up here. Wow! Oh,
Wow,
The Zinnia.
lovely.
I like that a lot.
The flowers. I love this flower. Oh, hey.
You did
You did
too?
one in black and white too.
Wow! That's
You
fantastic.
are fast. Did you do both of those, or is somebody else there with you? Stephanie's with you, your mom. Hello, Stephanie. I didn't think anybody could be that fast.
Good job.
Well done.
All right, time to end for today, and I will see you all next week or Friday. We do dinosaurs, and we're doing some animal characters. So if you want to come Friday, we're going to do some dinosaurs. I think Stegosaurus. We can draw Stegosaurus then.